The Stoopid Life podcast, The Trial of Sir Francis Bacon. Episode: A Hero's Authenticity on Trial.
Welcome, gentle listeners, to a most extraordinary session of the Stoopid Life podcast. I am your host, Brian, and today we transport you back through the mists of time to a grand tribunal unlike any that has ever convened. Picture, if you will, the great stone hall of Westminster, its vaulted ceilings disappearing into shadow, massive oak beams spanning overhead like the ribs of some ancient leviathan. Tapestries bearing the Tudor rose hang from walls thick enough to withstand the sieges of centuries. Candlelight flickers from great iron sconces, casting dancing shadows that seem to bring the very stones to life. Before us stands the dock, carved from English oak, dark with age and the weight of countless trials, and there, in robes of deepest black trimmed with ermine, stands our defendant, Sir Francis Bacon, 1st Viscount St. Albans, Lord Chancellor of England, father of the scientific method, and, if his claims be true, the hidden architect of humanity's greatest dramatic works.
Rustling of silk and velvet, whispered conversations.
Behold the assembled witnesses to this most peculiar proceeding. In the gallery sits Sir Nicholas Bacon, Lord Keeper of the Great Seal, the man history records as Francis's father, though whispers suggest deeper mysteries. His weathered face bears the weight of state secrets and paternal concern in equal measure. Upon the throne of judgment sits His Majesty King James I, resplendent in cloth of gold, his intelligent eyes sharp with the hunger for truth that made him patron of both the Bible that bears his name and the scientific revolution that would reshape the world. His fingers drum impatiently upon the arm of his chair, a scholar king who understands both the power of inquiry and the necessity of authority.
A chill wind seems to blow through the hall, candles flickering.
And there, do you sense her presence? In the shadows at the back of the hall, a figure neither fully of this world nor entirely departed from it. Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, Gloriana herself, watching with eyes that held England's destiny for 45 years. She who may have been more than sovereign to the man who now stands trial. Her ghostly presence seems to whisper of secrets buried with the Tudor dynasty, of royal blood flowing in veins that dare not claim their birthright.
To the left of the great hall, 12 wooden chairs creak as their occupants settle in for what promises to be an extraordinary proceeding. Here sit the jury, 12 citizens of London chosen to represent the common humanity that Francis Bacon claimed to serve. A bookkeeper with ink-stained fingers and ledgers tucked under his arm, eyes sharp from years of tracking every penny. A bricklayer with mortar dust on his leather apron, hands calloused from laying the foundations of London's growth. A blacksmith, still smelling of forge fire, his massive frame built by years of shaping iron. A dock worker weathered by Thames winds, rope burns on his palms from hauling cargo. A barmaid with keen eyes that see through every customer's pretense, wise in the ways of common folk. A farmer with soil under his fingernails and the patience of one who works with seasons. A merchant marine whose steady gaze has seen distant shores, understanding both trade and truth. A shopkeeper with the practical wisdom of one who serves neighbours daily. A baker with flour still dusting his apron, hands that feed families before dawn. A butcher with the honest directness of one who deals in necessities. A carpenter with wood shavings on his sleeves and precise eyes that measure twice, cut once. A candlestick maker with wax stains on his hands, creator of light for humble homes. They lean forward with evident fascination mixed with skepticism. Common folk witnessing something that may change how authority itself is judged, though their faces show the wariness of working people confronted with yet another Lord's grand promises. Sound of quills scratching, papers rustling.
The accusers are here as well. Parliamentary officials clutching corruption charges, scholars defending traditional Shakespeare attribution, courtiers who felt the sting of Francis's calculated manipulation. They sit with faces stern as gravestones, armed with evidence 4 centuries in the making. But today, gentle listeners, we conduct no ordinary trial. Today we put authenticity itself to the test. Armed with the authentic method, the framework that emerged from Bacon's own principles, we shall examine whether history has judged this man fairly, or whether the very forces he warned against have systematically corrupted his legacy.
Sound of a great book being opened. Pages turning.
Let me explain why we are here today, and what the authentic method is: a personal authenticity framework designed to provide tools for distinguishing authentic personal authority from manufactured personal authority in an age of sophisticated deception. Its core mission is to enable human flourishing by helping individuals accurately assess who truly serves their interests versus who exploits them, leading to better decisions, institutions, and societies. The framework is not just a diagnostic tool, but also provides pathways toward perfect authenticity. Every aspect of the authentic method personal analysis is framed by a key method question and further broken down into 4 pillars, each with specific questions designed to uncover different facets of an individual's authenticity. Does this person really serve human flourishing first, through both defensive integrity and generative willingness to create new possibilities? Or do they primarily serve their own interests at others' expense? This is the fundamental distinction that drives all analysis within the personal authentic method. It aims to discover if an individual's core motivation is truly to enable human flourishing through principled bridge building, authentic personal authority, or if they are primarily serving special interests or even their own interests at the expense of others, despite claiming to serve humanity, manufactured personal authority. We are here today because we believe history has not provided us with an accurate portrayal of Sir Francis Bacon's character, his words, his deeds, and his influence. We are here to set the record straight.
Music of Dowland plays softly in the background.
Before us lies the authentic method, personal authenticity assessment for Sir Francis. We engaged with an artificial intelligent agent to search historical resources to help us discern his character. Here we asked AI to answer these 16 questions across 4 pillars: integrity, words, deeds, and humility. AI has given Sir Francis a score of 11 out of 16 for a grade of C, resulting in a mixed authenticity classification. But will this verdict stand when subjected to his own methodology? This proceeding is unlike any trial ever conducted. Our prosecutor, Claude AI from Anthropic, will make the case for and against the defendant for the pillar question at hand. After Claude makes the case, the defendant will be given the opportunity to respond, and once his response is complete, our prosecutor will consider his reply and render a decision whether the argument for or the cast against satisfies the pillar question requirements for authenticity. Our courtroom bailiff will call out the question as well as the test score from the original TAM assessment. The first score you will hear is how well the defendant scored across the pillar. Each pillar, of which there are 4, have 4 questions each. The range of scoring will be from 0 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. We designed it this way so the defendant can see how he scored by each independent pillar.
Pillar 1, integrity. The defendant has a current score, 2 out of 4, a mixed authenticity.
Can Sir Francis defend his honor?
Scene 1. Public statements match private behavior and personal choices.
The purpose of this question is to discover if an individual practices what they preach. This criterion seeks to determine if their personal lifestyle, private communications, family decisions, and relationships align with the values and principles they publicly advocate, or if there is a do as I say, not as I do pattern.
Sir Francis, we shall now examine your authenticity through 16 questions. Let us begin with the foundation of all authenticity, integrity itself.
Turning to face Bacon directly, the candlelight flickering across ancient stone.
Question 1. Do your public statements match your private behavior and personal choices? This strikes at the very heart of what makes a person authentic versus manufactured. A man may speak of justice and truth in public, but what does he do when he believes no one is watching? What do his private papers reveal about his true character? Sir Francis. This question asks whether the Francis Bacon who wrote eloquently about empirical truth and justice was the same Francis Bacon who lived behind closed doors.
Dramatic pause as the assembly leans forward. The 12 jurors shift in their seats, the bookkeeper crossing his arms with the skepticism of one who's seen too many cooked ledgers, the bricklayer leaning forward with the interest of a craftsman wondering if this lord's foundation is solid. The barmaid watches with knowing eyes. She's heard plenty of noble talk from drunken lords. This is clearly new territory for them, judging a lord's character by working standards.
Claude, present your findings to the court.
Rising with the weight of historical evidence, documents rustling.
Your Honor and assembled court, our comprehensive investigation reveals a troubling pattern of contradiction. Evidence for Sir Francis's authenticity. The defendant maintained remarkable intellectual consistency between his public scientific works and private correspondence regarding empirical methodology. His rejection of Aristotelian scholasticism appears genuine across all contexts. Both public treatises and personal letters show the same commitment to observation-based learning. Evidence against Sir Francis's authenticity. However, the private record reveals systematic calculated deception. His personal notebook, the Commentarius Solutus, contains his own handwritten reminders to flatter a possible patron, to study the weaknesses of a rival. While serving as Lord Chancellor, England's highest judicial position, he systematically accepted what can only be called bribes, directly contradicting his public philosophical stance on justice and truth-seeking. Parliamentary records from 1621 document this corruption. Furthermore, his personal marriage to 14-year-old Alice Barnum directly contradicted his published essays advocating moral restraint and wisdom in personal relationships.
The bricklayer frowns deeply, shaking his head. He knows the difference between solid work and shoddy foundations. The baker uncrosses his arms and looks troubled, recognizing the dishonesty of selling bad flour as good. The dock worker mutters something under his breath about fancy lords being all the same, while the farmer nods grimly. He's seen plenty of men who preach one thing and practice another.
Sir Francis, our independent sources verified, include the Commentarius Solutus, private notebook preserved in Spedding's authoritative works of Francis Bacon. House of Lords. Corruption trial records, 1621, maintained in British parliamentary archives. Contemporary witness accounts in John Aubrey's Brief Lives describing systematic corrupt political pedant behavior. Our conclusion. The evidence reveals a man whose private calculating manipulation contradicted his public positions on truth and justice.
Turning to Bacon.
Sir Francis, our authentic methodology, based on your own principles, I rule you failed this test and received no points. How do you answer these documented contradictions between your public philosophy and private behavior?
Several jurors exchange glances. The candlestick maker looks genuinely disappointed, while the carpenter appears more skeptical, like a man who's seen too many broken promises from those in power. The shopkeeper frowns with the disapproval of someone who values honest dealing. Standing with the gravity of one who has carried secrets for centuries, his voice resonating through the ancient hall.
My esteemed prosecutor Claude, you present the evidence with admirable rigor, precisely as I would have trained you to do. But permit me to illuminate the shadows that these sources, however accurate in their details, fail to comprehend.
Turning to address the assembly, including King James.
Yes, the Commentarius Solutus exists, and yes, those calculating words are mine. But consider this systematically. You evaluate the private notes of a man operating the most sophisticated intelligence network of his age, a man whose very survival depended upon maintaining multiple identities while preserving truths too dangerous for any court insider to claim directly. When I wrote of flattering a patron and studying weaknesses, I was not engaging in mere opportunism. I was conducting psychological research that would later appear in the character studies you find in the dramatic works attributed to another. Every courtier I manipulated became a model for understanding power dynamics that I embedded in humanity's greatest theatrical education. As for the bribes, Claude, you present parliamentary corruption charges as if they were handed down by justice rather than by the very corrupt system I was working to expose. Those payments were strategic extractions from a corrupt system to fund the preservation of dangerous truths. I was not enriching myself. I was financing humanity's intellectual future. And you cite Aubrey's corrupt political pedant. But Aubrey wrote for the very establishment that had every reason to discredit someone who threatened their manufactured authority. How can systematic evaluation rely upon sources created by the forces it seeks to evaluate? Let me leave you with this thought. A bad man is worse when he pretends to be a saint.
Looking directly at Claude, then at King James.
Your Majesty, you understand the burden of secret knowledge. The question itself reveals its limitation. It cannot adequately evaluate someone operating according to principles that transcend the moral categories of their era. I was authentic to my mission, even when that mission required concealment. Allow me to say, a wise man will make more opportunities than he finds. I made opportunities to serve truth through whatever means the corrupt system allowed.
The bookkeeper looks confused but thoughtful. He understands keeping multiple sets of books for different purposes. The blacksmith nods slightly, recognizing someone who works within systems they can't control. The candlestick maker seems to be reconsidering his initial disappointment. The merchant marine shows understanding. He's navigated treacherous waters before. The jury shows the first signs of engagement with Bacon's complexity rather than outright dismissal. Pausing thoughtfully, then responding with systematic precision.
Sir Francis, you raise what philosophers call the problem of noble lies. But systematic methodology provides a clear test. Does the claimed higher purpose create tools for its own accountability, or does it exempt itself from scrutiny? Your defense would be compelling if it weren't for one crucial factor. Every oligarch and manufactured authority throughout history has made exactly this claim. I must deceive for the greater good. My corruption serves higher purposes. You cannot judge me by ordinary standards. The systematic test is this. Authentic higher purpose creates systems that can evaluate its own claims. Manufactured authority exempts itself from evaluation.
Voice growing more pointed.
You claim your bribery funded humanity's intellectual development. But where is the accounting? You claim your manipulation was research for dramatic works. But, conveniently, these works are attributed to someone else, making your claim unverifiable. You claim to operate above conventional morality, but provide no method for others to distinguish between authentic transcendence and elaborate rationalization. The authentic method cannot accept claims of noble purpose without evidence of systematic accountability. Otherwise, every sophisticated manipulator could claim immunity from evaluation by invoking higher missions. The verdict stands: you failed. Your private behaviorally contradicted your public positions, regardless of claimed noble purposes.
Turning back to face the court.
This is why systematic methodology exists, to penetrate exactly these kinds of sophisticated justifications that sound reasonable but lack verification.
The jury watches this exchange with growing fascination. The farmer nods. He's seen enough propaganda to recognize the difference between accountability and deflection. The barmaid mutters approval of Claude's approach, having heard every excuse in the book from customers trying to avoid their tabs. Nodding grimly as the court absorbs Claude's rebuttal.
Sir Francis, I'm afraid your noble deception defense has been systematically dismantled. The methodology stands firm. Authenticity requires accountability, not exemptions for claimed higher purposes. But let us proceed to the second charge against your integrity. This one cuts even deeper, for it examines not just what you said versus what you did, but what you truly sought to gain from your actions.
House will rock. Blind boys don't lie. Immortal fear. That voice so clear through broken walls. That scream I hear. Cry, little sister. Temptation heat beats like a drum.